Hello, welcome back to Chopped Greens. I'm your host, Philip Amrine, sitting alongside the evanescent in blue
Luke, right?
Yes, that was your intro. That's the one you got.
I don't know why that was my intro.
Well, you're welcome. I am completely out of breath. I am sweating.
I can just looking at you.
I'm going to be hyped for this first half, but give me 5 and I may be asleep because I had to run back to my car to grab the mic. We're on campus today, on location at ASU. However, as soon as I got to our recording quote-unquote studio, I realized I had left the mic in the car. So halfway across campus, I have to run there and back because I promised you I'd be here at 6:30, and I looked down, and it's already like 6:16. And I knew if my fat butt was to walk all the way there and back, I'd cut it pretty darn close. So I turned on It Ain't Me by Selena Gomez, and I ran. Mm-hmm. I ran, good sir. Yeah, I know.
It's a good song. It really is.
It's really an awful song, but that beat.
I love it.
I know.
I love the whole thing.
It ain't... Anyways, I ran the entire way there, ran the entire way back. So I'm hyped for this first half, second half. Hopefully it's not a snoozer. Please forgive me. However, this finally gets us to where I want to go, which is, Luke, football is back.
It is.
It is.
It is.
And I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm so excited I forgot how excited I was last week. Let me explain. Last night, me and my girlfriend went out to a celebratory dinner for her. She got into graduate school. Long story. That's not the point. Good. So congratulations,
Congrats, Ruby.
Yes. So celebrating. We're at Dave & Buster's, playing it up. However, when we're sitting down, I look up, and of course, there's the man, the legend, the myth, Peyton Manning, on a Papa John's commercial. And I just do a little fist pump, just say, "There's the man, there's the Manning." And she's like, "Is that the jersey that I got you last year?" And I said, "Yes." And that just led me on this entire soliloquy of how I like explored my inner self by explaining to her how cool football is, because I went on this, and I want you to journey with me on this, Luke, because it was fantastic. I just had a thought explosion. All right.
First of all, I just want to say, I'm sorry, Ruby, that you had to sit through whatever it is I'm about to sit through.
She may or may not have had a drink and was forced to listen, but she was enjoying it because that drink was delicious, or so I've heard.
She might have
Anyways,
a drink. I
went down this ladder of just how great football is, because it's better than fiction. There are so many points in time that sports are better than reality. They outrank what you were to bring. There's so many moments that you could bring it into a Hollywood scriptwriter, and they'd say it's too cheesy. For one, Peyton Manning, he was a Colt, went to be a Bronco. The fact that he went on the only 2 horse teams in the NFL alone is just a fun little fact. It's just weird, but when you say it out loud, it's like, you know what, there's something to that. Just a little weird. I know.
I don't think there's anything to that.
There is something to it, Luke.
No, I don't think so.
How weird is it also that Peyton Manning went from being the man, the leading man, the sole reason that a team was successful that he was on was because of him, that he went to being a dud, got benched in his last year, went on to this unbelievable Super Bowl run to where his defense finally lifted him up because he was flailing ducks, and the only person that could lead that team to a win outside of the incompetent Brock Osweiler was Peyton Manning, who knew how to not make mistakes. Even though his body was failing him, what was still there? His mind. And it was a beautiful story. Then that went on forward into a Super Bowl, to where the most interesting and underrated dynamic of a Super Bowl that I've ever seen was Super Bowl, I believe it was 49, where it was the Harbaugh brothers, how they were facing each other. And just think of how weird that would be of a family dynamic that really is unexplorable in real time, of trying to figure out because you can't ask the family and ask the people that are actually involved what their true feelings are and then reveal that to you honestly. It's always going to be something hidden within you of either brother saying, "No, I really do want to beat my brother," or saying, "It's going to be god-awful if I win." Either way, they can't be honest with you. It's that scripted answer. And then finally going off into where their parents are having to console one of their sons and having to be so proud of another for their best moment of their life, what their professional career is, what it all amounts to. Finally, the only reason that it can happen is in the failure of their other son. It's just, to me, it was such a mind-blowing Super Bowl, and the fact that how there was a power outage, it had Beyonce, and even looking back, it still holds relevance because Colin Kaepernick was the starting quarterback of that 49ers team.
I don't think that was the Beyonce halftime.
No, that was. Guarantee it. It was in New Orleans. Guaranteed Ray Lewis's last year and Ed Reed's last productive year. So,
damn.
Yeah, well, after that, I believe after that year he went to the Jets.
No.
I'm pretty sure that either he stayed with Baltimore one more year and he went to the Jets, or the immediate next year he went to the Jets.
No.
Ed Reed?
Yeah.
You're saying? Either way, I know he went to the Jets. I don't know that it was a full year, but he did go to the Jets. I know that.
He went to Houston and then went to the Jets.
He went to Houston, then went to the Jets. You know, I believe you are right.
No, I am right. I'm looking at it right now.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. But you can also confirm that it was indeed Beyonce, and Beyonce, I'm sorry, because everybody didn't blame her, but put the ownership of the reason why she was so much fire on one Super Bowl halftime stage that there was an obvious power outage due to her performance. So I remember that.
I think that's accurate.
I do. I would bet on that. That I know to be.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't think her performance is what caused the power.
All right, fantastic. Anyways, so this is all that Ruby had to endure, and it just led me to believe how much in depth I love football. How the storylines are really the most fascinating part of sports, and how it all just unfolds in a spectacular fashion for all of us to see. And I'm so glad it's back. Thank you. I'm off my soapbox now. Your turn.
Finally.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Hey, I don't even know how else. I don't know how to follow that up. Bless you.
Thank you. Bless us all, because football's back. All right. So a lot of games happened. A lot of things to review and talk about. Luke, is there a particular game you found to be the most surprising, whether it be outcome or how poor a team performed, how great a team performed? What was your shocker of the week?
My shocker of the week. See, this was a little bit hard for me because there were a few.
Okay.
There were, I'd say, 2 to 3. But I'm gonna focus on one, and that one is the Cardinals-Lions. And by bless you,
excuse me, thank you.
And by shocking, I'm going to go the opposite of kind of what you're asking. It was shocking to me how many people didn't see this outcome. I personally am not shocked that the Lions won. I am shocked that everybody else is shocked.
Yeah, it's Detroit won on the road, 35-20. No, not on the road. I'm sorry. I'm reading the scores backwards. Detroit won 35-23. Carson Palmer revealing his age in this game, and it's our own home team. So unfortunately,
he had 3 interceptions, and it should have been more.
It should have been more. Although, to be honest with you, the first half of that game, it looked very much to be Arizona's game. Just they couldn't finish anything,
but see, if you can't finish anything, at half it was 10-9.
When you can't capitalize on a pick six off the very first throw of Matthew Stafford, which had to be the most demoralizing moment of a build-up ever, when Matthew Stafford is coming off of just signing the biggest contract a quarterback or anybody's ever signed, and the fact that his first throw is a pick six. When you can't capitalize off of such an early momentum shift early in the game, and then you're also playing the Lions defense, which is not stout by any means. It's middling at best at this point in the time. Maybe a good front seven, but nothing impressive.
It's not impressive.
No.
And this goes back to the offseason for me when it comes to the Cardinals. Name me 2 major free agent additions that the Cardinals had.
Veld here from the Raiders. That was about 2 years ago for the left tackle.
No, I want this last offseason. How did they get better?
How did they get better?
They lost Calais Campbell.
They lost
Tony Jefferson. They lost Michael Floyd.
Their best additions were in the draft. And even then, it's hopeful. That's not. You never expect a rookie to come in and be as productive as maybe a Patrick Peterson was in his first year.
You lost key players, and you didn't have any backup plan for them. All of your salary cap is tied up in Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald and now Patrick Peterson, I believe, Tyrann Mathieu. Your salary cap is tied up in big name players, which is fine. But now those big name players, namely Carson Palmer and by extension Fitzgerald, aren't able to produce at the level you need them to produce at. And not only is that hindering one side of the ball, but your other side of the ball you couldn't improve on because you didn't have any money. So not only did you not improve on it, but you also had to lose key additions because you couldn't pay them. And not only did you not pay them and lose them, and not only did you not pick anyone up, you haven't been drafting particularly great lately because you've been picking towards the later end because you've been successful the last few years. And you haven't been able to develop a good system of people coming up to help replace those people like, say, the Broncos did with Shaq Barrett and Shane Ray to replace a DeMarcus Ware or a Doomerville.
Even the second corner, not Roby, but is it Roby? Chris Harris. Chris Harris was a late round draft pick for them too,
and he's doing great. But if you look at the Cardinals, you still don't have a cornerback number 2.
The latest best draft pick they've had that's really exceeded expectations even has been Tyrann Mathieu, and again, you bring up excellent points. The worst thing you can do as an organization is misallocate funds that you have in a salary cap league where your assets are only so much. You can only do so much with so much given. When you misappropriate funds to certain players, you cannot be wrong. Even though people can diss and have dissension on how you feel about Matthew Stafford, he's not going to go below what you expect. He is Matthew Stafford for better or worse. When you sign Carson Palmer to that deal, he's only getting worse. He's not getting better. Matthew Stafford, you could argue, offers stability and a proven commodity. And he's not going to, theoretically, outside of some unknown injury that we cannot foresee, he's going to be the same, if not better, theoretically. Carson Palmer, no, that's not the case.
He's not even going to stay the same.
No, the writing has been and is on the wall that he's been slowly, maybe you've been slowing it down, but he has been deteriorating. And when you invest so much capital into him and you don't have a backup plan whatsoever, when you have no even developmental prospect, such as the Patriots with Jacoby Brissett before they traded him, they at least had 2 backups.
Yeah, they at least have Garoppolo.
At the very least. So you need something to develop. You need either something to develop a true backup to where he can now ascend to a starter, something to where those funds aren't completely wasted, where if you're planning on spending $25 million on the quarterback department, and if you spend $24 million on Carson Palmer and only $1 million on a Dak Prescott, such as the Cowboys and Tony Romo plan, you're still allocating the same, but you now have a different setup. Yeah. So that's really where the Cardinals are wrong. I don't foresee this to be a great year. I think that they'll win their fair share amount of games just on talent alone. However, Carson Palmer is going to be a real ball and chain for this team, dragging them down slowly but surely.
Here's how bad off I think the Cardinals team is. I thought week 1 against the Lions was a must-win for them. It is a must-win because this team is not talented enough to beat Seattle twice, maybe not even once. This team is not talented enough to be able to guarantee 2 victories against the Rams. This team is not talented enough to be able to sweep anybody in their division. And if you look at their schedule, they have a lot of close games that I feel are up in the air. And at best case scenario, I thought they were a 9 to 10 win team. And that was giving them the benefit of the doubt on most of those up in the air victories. They just dropped their first game that should have been winnable. So they're already in an 0-1 hole. Hopefully, they should be able to beat the Colts since Luck is still out.
Come on.
But now you lost DJ, who was supposed to be your offense.
David Johnson.
Yep, David Johnson. You lost him for at least 2 or 3 months. So I think it's going to be questionable if you actually beat the Colts, because I believe it is still in Indy.
Yeah, no, it is. It's at the Colts. The following game is versus the Cowboys at home.
They might lose.
That's a completely viable game that they could lose. 49ers, hopefully, you're hoping that...
Is that one home?
That is the home one against
Okay.
the 49ers, so you're hoping that that's a win. Eagles, I'm going to count that as a loss. We just go down the list, and it's a bunch of, you either know that you're going to lose or you know that you're going to win. And either way, it would be a major upset the other way. But, the Arizona Cardinals, we can harp on them all year, but we'll see where they go from here. Moving along, my biggest shock of week one almost easily has to be Jacksonville at Houston. That was such a flip of the script. I know it's so random and just out of there, but Jacksonville, for one, they've never had a winning season since 2011. They've never been above 500 since 2011, which is an amazing stat for all the wrong reasons.
And in 2011, they only had a winning record because they were 1-0 after week one.
Yep.
Like this week.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull up the Jaguars, but that defense is not the reason why they're going to lose games, and that's going to be an interesting division to watch for the rest of the year. Their defense is, I would argue, if they had a almost cowboy-like offense where they could just run the ball, that could be a top 5 defense.
That's what they did. They ran that ball.
They ran the ball, and that's true, but they don't have a quarterback to complement the running back as Dallas does. That quarterback, Blake Bortles, they need to somehow fix that in the offseason in order to be true contenders. And if they do, if they were to somehow nab, let's say Alex Smith even, if they were to somehow nab just something competent, that could honestly be a team that wins on defensive merit, much alike the Denver Broncos of now 2 years ago.
I will go ahead and spill out a hot take here.
Hot take alert!
Blake Bortles is good enough to get Jacksonville into the playoffs.
Whoa!
Blake Bortles is good enough to get Jacksonville a wild card win.
A wild card win?
Yes.
Wow.
And I say that now because right now...
Overreaction week one, but yes.
Well, no, I say that now because Leonard Fournette just ran the ball for 26 times, broke 100 yards, and had a touchdown in his first NFL game against a good Texans defense.
That Texans defense is stout. It may have looked silly by the final score, but it even held up its own end. It really was fighting in there, had Tom Savage not just been on his back the entire game, which is a fault to him as well as the Texans offensive line.
Out of those 29 points Jacksonville scored, 3 were field goals, and 1 was a defensive touchdown. That offense on Jacksonville only scored 2 touchdowns, only scored 14 points. If you take out the field goals and the defense, that's a 14-7 game. But I think Jacksonville's defense is finally coming together how everyone thought it would come together the last couple of years. And it is starting to come together and perform at a level that people expected it to perform at. And Blake Bortles by no means is a good quarterback. No means is a good quarterback.
You'll go into the offseason looking to upgrade a quarterback.
Yes.
This is definitely his last year of being a sit-in for that position.
If you look at the Andy Dalton line, and the Andy Dalton line, for those of you who are relatively new to the NFL QB spectrum, the Andy Dalton line is the line of a quarterback play that you don't need to upgrade at. If your quarterback is Andy Dalton or better, you can sit on your quarterback play. If it's Andy Dalton or lower, you gotta upgrade. To me, Blake Bortles is just below Andy Dalton.
Well, to be honest with you, this week he probably
this week he was above. But I mean, it's one of those things where this last week he went 11 of 21, 125 yards and a touchdown. That is not good enough to win a divisional round. That's not good enough to win a championship round. That's not good enough to win a Super Bowl. That's not even good enough to win 12 games. That is good enough to win 10 games in a weaker division and then possibly pull off an upset in the wild card if your defense shows up. And that is what the Jaguars are looking to do right now. So I think this Jacksonville team, again, this is week 1. This is definitely going to be a little bit of overreaction just because you don't have much to consistently fall back on. I think right now Jacksonville might make a stab at that division.
Now, flipping it off to the Texans, who lost that game, they made a switch at quarterback, and now, honestly, we have the luxury of being alive, and we're doing this on a Thursday night. And we just hit halftime. The Deshaun Watson switched off at quarterback, is now starting on Thursday against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he's leading the Bengals 10-6 with a 49 scamper for a touchdown. So far so good for Deshaun Watson. Liked that pick in the draft, which begs the question: in week 1, just secluding it to week 1, who is the best fresh face performance? Whether it be a current starter to a new team, a la Calais Campbell to the Jacksonville Jaguars, or rookie performance, maybe Dalvin Cook, maybe Kareem Hunt for the Chiefs. Who did you want to put your fresh
Is
fresh
Kareem
face?
Hunt's a rookie?
He is a rookie.
Oh, wow. I did not realize he was a rookie.
Yes, he's. I believe he was a 3rd-round pick out of the Pride of Toledo.
The pride of, I'm not sure if anyone would say the pride of Toledo.
Well, he never fumbled until his first game, which was against the Patriots last week. First, he never fumbled in college, rather. And then first game against the Patriots, fumbled on his first possession. After that, went on to have a monster game, 200-plus yards, and had over, I think, 3 touchdowns.
He's got to be definitely number 1 rookie then. I'd say he's number 1 rookie, number 1 offensive player. How he didn't win Offensive Player of the Week, I don't know. I get it. Alex Smith did good. Kareem Hunt did better. But overall, I'd have to say he's definitely best fresh face, at least offensive-wise. And Calais Campbell, I'd have to go in terms of defense. You know, he broke a franchise record first Sunday playing for the team. So that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. You know who I'm going to go with in fresh face? I'm going to go I'm going to go one way rather, and it's both are in the same game. Ironically, Cleveland. I'm going to go with Deshaun Kaiser. I know his stat line doesn't pop out, but the fact that he looked pretty precise, pretty sharp as a rookie. Put that against the rookie scale, and put that the fact that he's in Cleveland. And he's a quarterback for Cleveland. Mm-hmm. I mean, just against all those things, he looked actually pretty darn good.
I thought about him. They were 3 points away from beating Pittsburgh.
I mean, that's not a bad team. Now, granted, Pittsburgh will always play down or up to the level of their competition. Albeit all those asterisks aside, Deshaun Kaiser actually looked pretty good. They might have something there with Deshaun Kaiser. So he's my fresh face for Cleveland. On the defensive side, I'm going to go for from Pittsburgh, T.J. Watt. Who thought that the brother would actually make a stand? Sometimes you got a Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. That rarely happens. But when we're looking at T.J. Watt, I thought that was a bit of a name branding pick. No, he's actually got something. Some actual moves. He's actually bringing a little defensive presence back to the Steelers, along with the rest of that young core of defensive studs that Pittsburgh's grooming into something to win a nitty-gritty 18-21 victory there. Hopefully, the biggest disappointment in this particular game, and I don't want to get too far into the game thing, but Le'Veon Bell, how concerned are you if you're a fantasy owner, Luke, of Le'Veon Bell? Are you concerned at all, or is this just a shaking off of the preseason jitters that he did not get? What do you attribute this to?
I'm on the scale of 1 to 10 of concernedness, 10 being the highest concern. I'm at about a 2.5 to 3.
Okay.
We're still early on. You're playing a Cleveland team that showed a lot of fight, and that Cleveland team has a pretty good defense. It's not great, it's not elite, but it's pretty good. And I mean, Roethlisberger threw the ball 36 times. That's not a ton, but that's it's pretty high. So I'm not too concerned with him yet. Do you happen to have? Did he do any catches?
I have 10 carries for 32 yards. Let me see if I have him right here. But this is honestly why you have a three-headed monster in Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, even Martavis Bryant, along with Antonio Brown. I'm trying to see. He had 3 receptions for 15 yards. So,
okay.
So, I mean, averaging 5 yards a catch is no small joke. However, I'm going to just say that this is, again, why you have different offensive weapons. And you're not always going to have an offensive explosion where everybody gets off. Antonio Brown went off this game.
No touchdowns.
No touchdowns, but he definitely helped you move forward and progress and move the chains, which at some point, especially when you're a Pittsburgh Steelers a team that always plays to the level of their competition, you just need somebody. And for this particular game, it was Antonio Brown. I'm not too worried. I might even go a touch lower than you, 1.5. We move forward as the Steelers. They're heading on to a new game this upcoming second week at versus the Jaguars, I believe. No, I'm sorry, versus the Vikings. This is going to be a game that they'll need him. Just from that defensive perspective, their offense needs to be stellar against a stout Vikings defense.
That will be
a competent now Vikings offense. They're going to need all that they can get in order to push that Vikings defense to the limit. So hopefully in a Browns game that on paper you don't need to be your best to beat them. Hopefully it was just getting ready and it was a warm-up for things to come. So that's kind of week 1, a quick little blurb, shall we say. Moving on to looking ahead at week 2. We start off here with the Texans and Bengals. To me, that's not a very, very big matchup. It's big, I would say, for the Texans more so, who are going to be in an interesting, just because of the lack thereof of competition in the AFC South. It's going to be it's almost a must-win for them. But which matchup do you find to be the most interesting of the week? For week 2 in the NFL. I can give you a couple. Would that help?
Do you go first for this one?
Okay. For me, I think it's going to be the obvious one. Of course, would be Green Bay, Atlanta. But I'm gonna go with a little bit of a defensive presence here, Luke. Philadelphia at Kansas City. I'm bullish on the Eagles' offense this year. I like Carson Wentz. I think that he's taking that next step. I love his weapons. Outside of the run game, where he has only LeGarrette Blount, and even then, I'm not willing to put all my money on his stock. I love that offense, and even the line for Philadelphia is fantastic, which directly goes against Kansas City's defense, which is a ferocious front seven. Unfortunately, missing Eric Berry, who's just a beast of a man. Just forget even football. Just inspiring in presence.
As a person.
Yes, just fantastic. Hopefully, he recovers quickly from his ACL and is back in time for next season. Or I'm sorry, yes, Achilles. Excuse me. And then directly facing him is the Kansas City Alex Smith led. What we thought would be a dink and dunk offense, which actually stretched the field last week. Don't know if they'll be able to do that again with a ferocious front seven there for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be my game of the week, where I'm actually, for the early games, as far as the early games go, that's my sit down and watch. How about you, sir? Where are you going for most interesting game of the week?
It is going to 100% bite me after it's played. I'm going to go Patriots Saints.
Oh, boy.
You saw a Patriots for the past, I'd say, about 3 seasons or so, maybe 4, have built a defense around the concept of bend but don't break.
Yes.
Give up tons of yards, let them deep in your zone, clench down, turn the ball over, kick a field goal. You're not getting a touchdown now.
Score touchdowns against your opponent's field goals.
Yes. That didn't work against the Chiefs. And
that won't work against teams with a great running game who will take advantage once they get to the end zone.
And that's a thing that you have to look out for, is the Saints have not 1, not 2, but 3 pretty good running backs. Adrian Peterson deserves more than 9 carries. But he got 9 carries because everybody got 9 carries. You look at that whole rushing core, none of them had that many carries. Now, not only are you going to be able to feed them the ball if you need to, but Drew Brees can still sling it. And yeah, he doesn't have he got rid of Brandon Cooks and whatnot, but he'll find receivers. And so I think it will be very interesting because it's in New Orleans.
In that dome.
The
dome will be rocking.
Patriots, I'm not going to say Brady's washed up or anything. I'm not going to go that hot takey. But, Tom Brady's 40 years old. Father Time's undefeated. So eventually, while I don't think he's going to suddenly turn in a terrible year, he's not going to be able to be in contention for 5,000 yards every year anymore. And so I think that there's a possibility that the Patriots could end up 0-2 to start this football season. And they're still going to win the division, I think, and they'll still be fine for the playoffs. I think they're going to get off to a rough start, though.
Well, this would not be out of tune for the Patriots, who have awful Septembers generally. You look through all their seasons, a lot of those seasons that ended up in the Super Bowl, they started out 0-1, 0-2, 1-3 in some cases for the entire month of September. I will say, to your point, Peyton Manning was having statistical year after statistical year, breaking the mold. Then the next year just fell off a cliff, just completely disappeared. We didn't know who was in number 18 in orange in Mile High City because that was not Peyton Manning, who we knew and loved. I though, for one, will not count out Tom Brady till I see a full season of it.
Same.
Yeah, I do realize that the Chiefs made him look silly, but if you think about it, for now, I'll attribute it more to the loss of Edelman and the fact that Eric Berry held Gronk in check the entire game. He threw a couple weird routes, but the way that offensive system works, it's more of a timing and precision offense that when you have Brandon Cooks, who's only been there since the offseason, a Gronk who's been recovering the entire offseason.
He'll get hurt within 5 weeks, I can guarantee you.
Yeah, went, number 5 in our fantasy league? Smart take. Anyways, point being, I think that there's a lot of kinks that an offense such as the Patriots need in order to just get together. And I think that the Chiefs made them look silly just because Andy Reid, off of any amount of time of a break, can game plan with the best of them, including Bill Belichick.
Absolutely.
Later on in the season, I don't think that it's that much because you can't surprise them anymore. They'll have seen enough game tape to see all that you can throw at them mostly. I'm going to say that this could be a bad game for the Patriots. I would not count them out on going 0-2, but I wouldn't bet against them, and I wouldn't bet against Tom Brady quite yet. Again, I realize that you didn't go that far, and neither will I. I think the factor there is if they bend and don't break, I don't know that the Chiefs, the Saints don't have any one back that's as complete as Kareem Hunt is, but the 3 backs that they have, the stable of running backs that they have, are very proficient in each of the fields that they bring to the thing. So you can have Adrian Peterson work that goal line once they get into the red zone. You can have Mark Ingram go for straight up rushes in midfield, and you can have Kareem who's the last one? I'm missing the last Saint running back, but the last one who's a rookie, Kamara, I believe. Yes, Kamara. You can have him stretch the field on outside runs and lobs and what have you. And then just Drew Brees, toss it up to Michael Thomas and whichever other wide receiver you want to just put up there with Drew Brees because he's been working with junk for his entire career.
And the bigger difference will be whether or not the Chiefs can score or whether or not the Saints can also put up 45 points because their defense will give up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They do not have a Chiefs defense, so they will have to score whenever they get a chance to. They can't do what they did against the Vikings, and they get in the red zone and settle for field goals or turn the ball over.
That being said, the Patriots defense is not the Minnesota Vikings defense.
That's also accurate.
So we'll see. Not a bad game to highlight. This to me does feel like a late blowout for New England, but we'll see. Notable mentions for me. Green Bay at Atlanta, of course. That's the NBC night game, so that's obviously a great game.
Titans Jaguars, I think, will be notable.
Really?
Yeah.
Meaningful, like as far as the standings. I know obviously it will early, but when we look back on it, will it bear some meaning?
I think that will give Jaguars D a better shot at saying, hey, we can stop running games, we can stop passing games, and this will give Blake Bortles another shot to say, hey, Leonard Fournette can carry me while I don't mess up.
You know what the most fascinating thing about any NFL season is we still don't know these teams fully. We don't know the bad teams from the good teams, what they're proficient in, and so we don't necessarily know what it means when two teams face together. I think that the Tennessee Titans are going to be a good team.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that if the Jacksonville Jaguars stop them, that we will, after week 2, say the Jacksonville Jaguars destroy Tennessee. We don't know that they're going to be a great team that goes on a run and can really run the ball with the best of them, and then it's now a good Jacksonville defensive performance that stopped the run versus just them beating up a bad team. It's a fascinating dynamic. And then last 2 notable games, Dallas at Denver. That's going to be a very good game. We'll see if Dallas can pull off can beat another defensive stalwart. Hopefully Denver can get some sort of offensive firepower and keep a lead this time. Finally, the last big one for me, Minnesota at Pittsburgh. I want to ask you though, what do you think will be the biggest blowout this weekend? What is like the biggest dud game? Biggest blowout dud game, if there is one. I've got my candidate. Go.
It is hard to not. Ooh, okay, so
there's 2. I think there's 2 to 3 candidates here.
I've got 2.
Okay.
Jets Raiders,
of course.
And then I think where did it go? Cardinals Colts has potential to be a big blowout.
It could. Carson Palmer tired of all the old retiring talk, and the entire offense rejuvenated after the loss of David Johnson. For me, my second team that could make this an offensive blowout has to be Baltimore at Cleveland. If nothing else, it could be a shutout from Baltimore's side, and thus any points scored for Baltimore are seen as an offensive blowout. And then Tampa Bay at Chicago just looks like
Chicago played good last week.
Yeah, they have a good defensive presence. I would love Seattle at San Francisco, but if any team can make Seattle an offensive juggernaut, it'd be the San Francisco 49ers.
Those NFC West division games, though,
sometimes
they're sneaky good.
Yes, I remember last year, early in the year, the newly minted Los Angeles Rams took a home game versus the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Turned out later in the year that was an aberration.
Yeah.
But still, anything can happen. Okay, yeah, and still looking on live at the Houston Bengals game, just as an in-turn game that will mean nothing when everybody actually listens to this. We're looking at... Oh, darn it. I just lost it. With the Indians trailing late with this streak. Let's see if I can find it before you actually get it.
It's tied.
It's tied at 10-10?
2-2. What? It's tied 2-2.
Oh, I'm talking about the football game.
You said Indians.
Yes, I know. It overtook it.
It's 10-6.
But Houston is taking a lead at 10-6. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about, Luke? Anything that tickles your fancy?
I think that the running back position needs to start getting some more respect.
This week?
Put some more respect on that name. Like, people say it's a passing league, and they're absolutely right. This is very much a passing league. But if you start looking at a lot of these offenses, running back play is paramount to what they do. Cardinals need David Johnson. The Bills need LaShawn McCoy. The Panthers need a good rushing attack from Jonathan Stewart and Christian McCaffrey. The Chiefs need a good passing or a good rushing game. Patriots always need a good rushing game. They just always
have a stable of backs.
It's always
to do
who
it.
Is it? Steelers, Vikings, Bears are starting to develop that. Raiders went out to go get a running back. Dolphins with Jay Ajayi. Like, if you Seahawks, like, people always try to undervalue running backs in the NFL system nowadays because it's such a pass-happy league. But the fact is, if you don't have a competent running back, you are not winning in this league.
All right, let's do it. Are you ready? We are going to go game by game quickly. This is fast. We're going to go, and keep in mind, one of these games is going to be your lock of the week, all right?
Okay.
We're going to go against the line, and you can give me who you think is going to win if you want.
We're going against the line?
Going against the line, and then
okay.
if you feel like it's going to be the other team, tell me, but we need a lock of the week. So, quickly, here we go. Browns at Ravens, Baltimore -8. Baltimore, I think...
No, sorry, Browns.
Browns, but you think Baltimore's going to win it?
Yes, Browns will cover.
I agree. Sorry. Okay, Bills at Panthers. Carolina is -7.5 in this game.
Carolina will cover.
I think Bills will take. I'll take those points, but Panthers still win it out in a defensive game for the ages. Cardinals at Colts. Arizona -7.
Cardinals lock of the week.
Lock of the week. And are you going to take those points as well? Swallow the points?
Yeah, but it's the most questionable lock of the week I can get. The Colts are just so bad.
Okay. I'll take. Ooh, that's one of my worst ones of the week. I'll take. Oh, I'm going to go Colts just because they're a home team. I think it might be a late field goal. I hope not. Titans at Jags. Tennessee is -2.
I'll take Tennessee to cover.
Okay. I'll take the Jags. Jags and the points. And I think Jaguars will win. Eagles at Chiefs. Kansas City -5.5.
Chiefs. I think they'll cover.
I think Eagles. Oh, Andy Reid off of a bye. I'll take Eagles. Kansas City still wins in a point game. Patriots at Saints. New England is -6.5 on the road in the Superdome.
New England wins by at least a touchdown.
I'll take New England as well. Take the points. Vikings at Steelers. Pittsburgh is -5.5.
Minnesota covers within a field goal.
Minnesota wins in Pittsburgh. Take the points. Bears at Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is -7.
I'll take Bucks. They win by 10.
I'll take Bucks at least 10. Not my lock of the week, but second close one. Dolphins at Chargers. Chargers -4.
Where is it?
It's in StubHub Center. Opening game for the Chargers in Los Angeles.
Dolphins.
I'll take Dolphins as well. Get a week off. Great game. Great matchup. Jets at Raiders. Oakland, I'd imagine biggest line of the week, -13.5. Raiders.
They'll still cover.
Yeah. Cowboys at Broncos. Dallas is -2.5.
Broncos will win by a field goal.
Broncos as well. Redskins at Rams. Rams are -2.5.
I'll take Rams. I think that they're not going to be able to put up 45 a week, but I think they'll be a lot better than some people think.
We'll go with the Redskins. Take the points. And I think that they'll win. 49ers at Seahawks. Seattle's -14. Biggest line of the week. I'm sorry.
Niners. They will cover.
Yeah, being blown out twice, especially to an offensively inept team like the Seahawks who thrive on defense, not offense. I'll take the 49ers to cover, but Seattle wins easily. Packers-Falcons. Atlanta -3.
Packers-Falcons -3.
In Atlanta, yeah.
I'm going to say Atlanta wins and they cover. Probably win by a touchdown.
Taking Packers and the points. Finally, Lions and Giants. Giants -3. Lions at Giants, and this is the Monday game.
Lions will win. Giants will get off to a slow start, but they'll heat up, make the wild card, hit the Super Bowl, beat the Patriots. At one point, they'll come back from a 28-3 score.
Fantastic. I'll take the Lions on this one because I'm not sure how Odell Beckham will be, if he'll even be in the lineup, and then how he'll perform. By the way, Jets at Raiders. Raiders are my lock of the week to win. All right, here we go. After this short break, we will come back with a fantastic Gimme 5. And thank you, football's back! Still a close game with the Texans and Bengals. You got any faith in the Bengals going to pull this one out at home?
I I don't know. That team is pretty bad.
Man, they used to be a lock at home. You could count on three things: taxes, death, and the Bengals at home to cover.
I think it's gotten to the... First of all, why Marvin Lewis is still there, I don't know. Second of all, why you gave Burfict a extension, I don't know. That team at this point...
Well, to be fair, he's suspended right now, but...
What? That makes it worse. Like, hey, you just got suspended, man. Let's give you more money. Like, that's why would that be your... That team needs a huge overhaul in the worst way on defense and in their coaching department.
I feel bad for AJ Green specifically for having to deal with all that, but
he's essentially Calvin Johnson, just not as good right now.
Yeah, he's pretty
prime.
Good,
He's up there, but his prime is being wasted on an inept organization.
I do not associate him with that dumpster fire. All right, this is Give Me Five, Luke, the part of the show where I've got 5 questions for you, you've got 5 questions for me. We don't know what they are, but we will answer them honestly. Luke, would you care to go first or second?
I think that I will go first this time.
Fantastic. Your turn, sir.
So, as I am sure you are well aware, on the Twitter sphere yesterday, some NBA players were not happy about their ranking. Because ESPN is doing their top 100 NBA players.
Yeah.
Because it's NBA offseason and we got to find something to talk about with NBA.
Yes, of course.
And one player, CJ McCollum, even went so far as to tweet out how upset he was over how certain players were being ranked. And we'll get to those players later on in my Give Me Five.
Oh, fantastic. I'm glad.
But he threw out an idea of why don't the players rank the writers? And he said it sarcastically, but it got a lot of people thinking, why not? And I was one of those people. So right now, Philip, I want you to give me your top 5 sports writers.
All right. Do I have to do them in a particular order?
No.
Or just my top?
For now, just give me top 5.
Okay. In no particular order, except this one is definitely number 5. Matthew Berry is my number 5. I realize it's kind of off the wall, but I do read him rather a lot because I need to know about my fantasy football waiver wire additions, and I actually enjoy his weekly anecdotal intros to an otherwise nerdy and geeky who to man crush on for the week and who to pick up. So, coming in at a solid number 5, the fantastically talented Mr. Roto, Matthew Berry. Then going on again from in no particular order, he actually just kind of retired, but I feel like he counts. J.A. Adonde.
He retired?
It's semi-retirement. He's now taking over the journalism department in Northwestern. So he's left ESPN. So it's like semi-retired. He's done with ESPN, but not in a bad way. So J.A. Adonde. Next one, you ever need a good LeBron story, Brian Windhorst is your man. So I do enjoy Brian Windhorst. Peter King always has an interesting angle of which to take football.
That's one way to say it.
That's one way to say it. But I do enjoy that he sometimes goes off the wall and actually does have a lot of access with people outside of the Patriots.
That's fair.
The Patriots are probably the only one he doesn't have access to. And then finally, Ramona Shelburne. She kind of gives you a great...
Sneaky good pick right there.
Yes. I love her. When she has a story, it's a long story, but it is certainly in depth. And as a great jinx to the one and only Ronda Rousey, because after she wrote a story about how great she is, she went and retired. So, outside of that, gotta love Ramona Shelburne. But that's my top 5. Luke, did you have a list?
Yeah, I have one. Zach Harper. Okay. He's definitely well known in the NBA sports world, but he's not really known that well outside of it, and he should be. He's somebody who will give you very long, in-depth stories, and it's great. You have to sit down and read them, but it's great. Great follow on Twitter, by the way, at Talk Hoops. Okay. Made best decision you'll ever make on the Twitter sphere. I also really enjoy Ben Simmons.
Oh yes, very
not
smart.
Ben Simmons. Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons.
I don't know why it's the basketball player.
I went with you there though.
Yeah, I was. As soon as I said it, I was like, wait a sec.
That's wrong.
That's the player. But I like Bill Simmons. I liked him a lot on like Grantland and everything. Zach Lowe. I love reading some Zach Lowe. And then also, those are my top 3. I like a good Windhorst story just because I feel like he's starting to kind of be up there. Yeah. He's not really a writer, but I really enjoy how quickly Shams has gotten popularity this offseason.
You know who I toyed with, just to be a hot take guy, was Adrian Morjanowski, although he doesn't really write. It's
Same thing with Sham. He doesn't write per se.
But I read everything Morjanowski says as if it's gospel. All right, my first one here. Luke, the Irish Greyhound Board announced that Clonbrien Hero, an Irish Greyhound dog, tested positive for traces of, let's try this one out, benzoylecgonine, which is the main metabolite of cocaine.
Oh.
Yeah, didn't see that going.
It's not looking in that direction.
Clonbrien Hero had traces of the substance on 3 occasions between June 24th and July 22nd. One of the tests came after the dog won the Irish Laurels final at a race in Cork. The dog's trainer, Graham Holland, claims that the dog ingested cocaine accidentally. And the board has decided to withhold the 26,000 pounds in prize money from the dog. It will not be allowed to compete until it can pass a test without any traces of the banned substance. Luke, if these reports are true and the trainer purposefully gave this dog cocaine, what should his punishment be? And did you even know that there was such a thing as animal testing for performance-enhancing drugs?
I didn't know there was such thing as performance-enhancing drug testing for dogs. Yes, animals.
Because there's horses too, right?
I worked at a sports bar that did over-the-track betting.
Okay.
So that was very big, and so I knew that they tested like horses and stuff for that.
I never crossed my mind.
I definitely didn't think cocaine was one of the ones that they give the animals, though.
I guess I can kind of see the correlation, but
from what I can understand, it's normally opposite. They normally give drugs to the other horses to make them slower. But yes, I did know that. What should his punishment? Well, first of all, he should be banned from the sport. Second of all, he should be banned from ever owning animals, because that's animal abuse.
100% right here, Luke. Right, that's where I was going to go. I was going to say that this supersedes just training.
Yeah,
he needs to be investigated and be brought up on some animal abuse charges. Yeah, that's just that's unbelievably.
He needs to go to court.
And I can't believe that
getting a dog addicted to crack, like, that's not okay. It's not okay at all.
And even just to win, just to put your financial burden on an animal to perform and give them performance-enhancing drugs, I'm sure, just naturally without their will, is just gross and admonishable. Your turn, Luke.
Okay, well, going back on a happier note,
yes,
I promised more on player rankings, and I'm going to deliver.
Yes, he's like Amazon Prime.
You're right, I am. So one of the bigger snubs of the rankings was Carmelo Anthony.
Ah, yes, I saw you tweet about this.
He came in
at Luke Wright?
at Luke Wright 421.
Oh, yes.
But thank you.
Thank goodness not 420. We'd have to.
I was born 421.
Ah,
so that's
okay, good.
Everyone needs to get their mind out
of the weeds.
Too soon. So one of the players disrespected was Carmelo Anthony. He came in at 64th. Lonzo Ball, a rookie who hasn't played a single minute in a meaningful pro basketball game, was ranked at 63rd. So, of course, that sent a lot of NBA players off on rants against writers and whatnot. And one of the memes about Carmelo Anthony, if you follow NBA Twitter a lot, is that Hoodie Mellow is the ultimate mellow. And Hoodie Mellow, for those of you who don't follow, is basically whenever you see Carmelo Anthony training or doing like pickup games or stuff on Twitter videos, he's wearing a hoodie. He's wearing a sleeveless hoodie. And so the joke is that is him in his prime element, and that if he's Hoodie Mellow, you can't stop him.
I believe J.R. Smith has also added to the lore of Hoodie Mellow, saying that he is indeed the killer version of Mellow, having been his teammate.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to give you three alternative identities
to
NBA players, all of which who have performed very well in these identities and have become internet memes.
Okay, let's do it.
You will tell me who you would want on your team.
I can only imagine the LeBron James version, but let's go.
LeBron's not on this list.
Oh, you gotta have the the porn stash LeBron.
No.
The sweatband LeBron
No.
and the non-sweatband.
No, I don't have any LeBron.
Okay.
I have 3 specific players that are memes right now.
Okay, let's go.
Hoodie Mello, gang sign John Wall, who you might remember from the Celtics Wizards series when he went off in game 2.
Sick.
Was it later on in the series?
Well, I know after he hit that far 3, he just stone faced it and won. But anyways,
so gang sign John Wall or untucked Kyrie. Untucked Kyrie, you might remember his shirt got untucked a little bit during a playoff game and he started going off.
Oh,
Who would you want on your team?
I would probably have to dictate gang sign John Wall.
Same.
He can drive for you. He can come in the clutch, and he's not old because Hoodie Mello still's around, and Kyrie also did it as a sidekick to LeBron. So I'll go with gang sign John Wall in his prime.
It's true. Okay. Good pick.
All right. Funny you should say that. I'm moving on to a lighter note as well, Luke. After watching some football games this week, I've decided that these real-life names are just too much. And honestly, most of them are as unbelievable that a parent would do that to a child. So, without further ado, I have a list of names that may or may not be from college football athletes currently taking the field this season. Your job is to decide if they are a player or not. I believe from the face that you're giving me right now, it looks as if we had the same idea.
No, I'm just worried that Key and Peele are gonna listen to this and then call you, and we're gonna get sued for gimmick infringement.
Right. This entire segment was inspired by the Denver Broncos Chargers game, where the backup kicker for the Chargers. Do you even remember his name? I remember it's Young Ho Koo.
That's not the backup kicker. That's the starter.
That's the starter. Well, he's the backup. Has he always been the starter? I thought he was like the backup who came to be the starter.
He's the starter for this year.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, but what a great name,
Young Ho Koo.
Young Ho Koo. All right. Here we go. So essentially, I'm giving you a name. You tell me if they're a college athlete or not a college athlete.
We're only doing college. Okay.
Only doing college athletes taking the field on college football Saturdays. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. First one, Chad President. Is that a college athlete or not?
College athlete.
Absolutely. Quarterback for Tulsa. Next one, Twazanga Mugala.
Athlete.
Absolutely. Is a defensive back for Duke. Next one, Grant.
Athlete.
No. Michael Rooker played the character who was in Slither in 2006.
You mean Michael Rooker?
Sure, that one too. Next one, Shmar Kilby Lane. Athlete or not?
Athlete.
Absolutely. Linebacker for Florida State. Next one, Cole Trickle.
Athlete.
Absolutely not. Played by Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder in 1990.
Nah, I never saw Days of Thunder.
Yeah, I figured you didn't. Next one, Hassan Defense. Tricky, right?
I'm gonna go athlete. I've been sticking with athlete pretty much.
Yes, you have. It's a good strategy. Absolutely an athlete. Defensive back out of Kansas.
You have to play defense with that name.
Yeah, and he does. He's a defensive back, so fantastic. Next one, Mac Hippenhammer. Athlete or not?
Athlete.
I think I see what your strategy is here. Congratulations. Wide receiver / tight end out of Penn State. Next one, Bubba Flood.
Athlete.
A defensive back out of Southern Miss. Look at this. Next one, Wolfgang Zackerl.
Okay, first of all, have I told you what I'm naming my child?
No, you have not.
I'm naming my son Wolfgang.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I hope to God that this is an athlete so that I won't feel so bad when I name my child Wolfgang.
Okay.
So I'm going athlete.
You're going athlete. That is, and in fact, an athlete. He is a wide receiver / tight end out of Penn State. You can see him on the field on Saturdays. I'm sorry, he's an offensive lineman out of Charlotte. Misread that one. Anyways, next one. Jomez Applewhite.
Athlete.
Absolutely. Defensive back out of Southern Miss. And to close it out, Lee Christmas.
Not athlete.
No.
Nah, he is an athlete. Nah.
Oh, you're changing it?
I know the name. That's what bothers me.
That's what bothers you?
Is I know the name.
You've heard the name before.
I just don't know if I heard it from a sports movie or show or if I heard it on a college football.
Did you watch college football this last weekend?
Yeah, I watched some of it, yeah.
Did you watch Baker Mayfield be so disrespectful?
I didn't get to watch that one, but I loved it. As an OU fan, I loved it.
You know what I was mad about that whole thing about?
What?
There's really only one thing to be mad about.
That they tried to make him apologize?
No, that he apologized. He did apologize.
Yeah, it was stupid.
That was what I was mad at.
They did the almost exact same thing. They sat there and
I love rivalries in sports, and the fact that they did it the year before enabled him to do it this year, and no apology necessary. Anyways, I'm sorry. Lee Christmas. Final one.
Not an athlete.
Not an athlete. You're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Jason Statham.
That's that. Yes.
And the Expendables.
Thank you.
There you go. I don't know whether to be proud or not about that, of you knowing that. But anyway.
It was a good movie, so.
Yeah. That first one especially was real primo. All right, your turn, sir.
You watch your mouth right now.
I watched the movie. I watched the sequel.
I swear. Did you watch the third one?
I did not get a chance to see the
third one. Was pretty.
I just missed it. I didn't see it. I did not.
Pretty all right.
I did not miss it out of spite. I just did not see it.
So, I'm going to play a game with you.
Oh, fantastic.
And in this game, I will give you 5 sports trivia questions.
Ooh.
For each question, I'll give you 3 answers. 3 possible answers. You'll give me the right one.
Okay.
You with me?
I'm with you.
Okay, number 1. What team has the most Super Bowl appearances?
Oh, appearances. Okay.
Steelers, Patriots, Cowboys.
Steelers, Patriots, Cowboys. It's not the Patriots. It's between the Cowboys and Steelers. I'm going to go with Steelers. Let's go with Steelers.
We're going Steelers?
Steelers.
You are wrong. Steelers have the most Super Bowl wins. Them and the Cowboys are tied for second most appearances with 8.
It is.
Patriots have the most with 9.
I should have.
7 with Brady, and then they had 2 before, but they lost both of them.
Right. Okay. Good one. Next one.
So, I didn't want to go with what baseball team has the most World Series wins because I felt that was way too easy.
Yankees.
Like literally they have
double the field.
They have 16 more than second place.
Who is second place?
That's my question. Who has the second most World Series wins? Is it the Cardinals, the Athletics, or the Giants?
The Athletics, I don't even remember them winning 2. So
Remember though, baseball's been around a long time.
Man, I'm debating between the Cardinals and the who's the third team?
Giants.
The Giants. I don't know if the Giants were any good before Bumgarner and that squad. I know that they had the Kerrs. Oh, well, they had the Barry Bonds. Are you saying the appearance or wins?
Wins.
Wins.
The Giants are one of the most storied franchises in baseball, dating back to New York.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Dodgers, who were the Bombers. That's right.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the Cardinals.
That is correct.
Okay.
Cardinals have 11. Athletics actually have more than the Giants. I forgot to write down the totals for all of them.
Right.
But Athletics, I think, are like third or tied for third.
Okay.
Okay, number 3.
The D-backs. Just kidding.
They're only 10 behind for second place.
Woo!
Number 3. What player has the most NBA championships?
Ooh, okay.
Is it Robert Horry? Is it Sam Jones? Or is it Bill Russell?
No, this one's easy. I thought you were going to go for second place or just between the 3. It's Bill Russell.
Correct.
Okay.
Bill Russell has 11.
Robert Horry's though close, right? He's second?
He's 7. Sam Jones is 10.
Okay.
He was on 10 of the 11 Bill Russell wins.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking maybe I could trip you up by throwing in that Sam Jones.
Just why is Sam Jones in there? But no.
Okay. Number 4. Which sport is the oldest? I'll give you 3, and you will tell me out of these 3 sports which one has been around the longest.
Okay.
Is it boxing?
Oh, God.
Is it running?
Uh-huh.
Or is it wrestling?
How old is the WWE? Just kidding. Oh, man.
I'm saying boxing, but I hope you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just easier to say boxing than explaining.
That's it's kind of hard to define it. I'm trying to think of if in the original, because if you're going to go the original Olympics, racing was a part of that, but I don't know that there was I don't think boxing was there. I mean, I think it was just gladiatorial. So I'd imagine I'm going to go with boxing just loosely, even though I realize, because I think it was like the first modern day sport. I'll go with boxing.
Wrong.
Racing?
Wrong. Wrestling.
Really?
Wrestling is the first sport. It's typically credited with being the first sport ever. Started in roughly 400 BC. Racing, along with I think a few other Olympic sports, started a couple hundred years later.
Okay.
Final sports trivia question.
Okay.
Which player is the oldest player to ever play in the NFL? Is it Hall of Fame kicker Morton Anderson? Is it future Hall of Fame kicker Adam Vinatieri?
Okay.
Or is it, I believe, Hall of Fame kicker / quarterback George Blanda?
How dare you do me dirty with the Adam Vinatieri? Because
he was straight trash this last season. Or
He's
this
still here.
or Sunday, I should say.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say he's still here, but oh man, it is always gonna be a kicker. Oh man, these are good, by the way. Congratulations to
Thank
you.
you.
Excellent job on research and stats on this one. I think it is Vinatieri because I think that they actually got hit back in the older days as far as actually doing stuff. So with the rules changes and everything, I'll go with Vinatieri.
Going Vinatieri.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
You are incorrect, sir.
Darn.
George Blanda.
He was my second.
Playing at like 49 or some crazy, late 40s.
Wow.
Morton Anderson is close, and then Adam Vinatieri is like third.
There you go. Who knows? But hey, maybe Vinatieri can pull it out. Who knows?
He might.
All right. Excellent questions by you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, let's get us back to the norm of NFL every week, and since it is still considered to be overreaction week, I have a couple quick NFL overreactionary questions that I must ask you. Are you ready?
I was born ready, fam.
All right. Which undefeated team do you think will last the longest in their pursuit to make the 72 Dolphins sweat and try to go undefeated? So you have about, what? I think you have 17. No, you have 16 teams. 2 didn't play. So
14?
No, because 8. You'd have 18.
7.
You'd have 20, right?
What?
18 teams won from. Or no, I'm sorry.
Okay,
7.
well, let's do some basic math.
Let's do some basic.
14 teams played.
There are 32 teams.
Sorry, 14 games were played.
15 games.
No.
Buccaneers and Dolphins was a bye.
Oh, they played each other. That's right. I forgot.
Right.
So we had 15 games.
teams, so 15 winners.
Yes.
So you have actually 17 to select from because the Buccaneers and Dolphins have not lost yet.
I mean, I guess technically.
Technically. Which one's going to last the longest? Not saying that they will, but which one will go the longest while winning?
What? This is...
So you got Cowboys, Eagles, Dolphins, Bills. You got Ravens, Steelers, Lions, Packers, Vikings, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks.
I'm going to say...
Without going too far in depth, you don't have to look at the schedule. I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire here.
I'll say I'll say Cowboys because I feel like they can get through this week. They should have a few more easy weeks and then a bye, and so I'll go Cowboys.
How unimaginably awful is that going to be while we cover this streak? All right.
Indians won again tonight, by the way.
Oh,
they
pulled it out.
Pulled it out in extras.
Fantastic. Go Indians. All right, if you had to bet the entire Wright estate...
Whoa. Sorry, you get to do 2 questions in a row now?
I'm doing a couple. These are all overreactionary. They're supposed to be fast.
Oh, okay.
If you had to bet the entire Wright estate on which team would get the number 1 overall pick, meaning the worst record, in this year's draft, who are you now betting on after week 1?
Colts.
Colts?
Colts.
Isn't Andrew Luck supposed to come back at some point, though?
He might. Last I have heard, and this changes every week at this point, he's not expected to be. It's looking worse and worse. He might not be back for another 6 or 8 weeks, and at that point, I could legitimately see this team being 0-8, 0-6, somewhere in between there. At that point, I keep him out the whole year because he's not going to be able to do anything. He's just going to possibly get hurt again. So I let him out, rest as much as possible. That team's not winning more than 2 games without luck. And that's being nice.
It's a race to the bottom between the Colts, the 49ers, and the Jets. The Colts are the only ones who can come out of that if Luck were to come back earlier.
Yeah.
The Bills, Jaguars, and Rams are the only teams that stand alone atop their respective divisions. If you had to pick one team that will stay strong and stay atop their division, which one are you picking? You're forced to pick one of them that you're saying they will win their division.
What Bills?
Bills, Jaguars, and Rams.
Jaguars.
That's pretty much the easy one.
Yeah.
Although the Bills, no. They are my number 2 one. Next one. If we were redoing our fantasy football draft this week, right now, and I gave you the number 1 overall pick, who would you pick now that David Johnson has gone down, and now that we have a week of information?
Le'Veon Bell.
Still,
I'm not gonna one bad week against a team that people that I think is better than people expect is not gonna make me go away from Le'Veon Bell.
You wouldn't go Antonio Brown or even somebody new like Kareem Hunt?
Nope.
No? Okay.
I'm not going rookie number 1 overall in the fantasy draft because he had 1 good week against the defense that already wasn't good.
Okay, good to know. And finally, is the Cowboys offense the most complete offense in the entire NFL? Just complete. I'm not saying the best, but just no weakness.
No, because I do think that pass game is a little bit of a weakness. They rely on too many spectacular plays like that Cole Beasley one. Des Bryant can sometimes get some butterfingers from time to time. Jason Witten's getting older and older, and Dak Prescott still hasn't proven to me that he's able to dissect the middle of the field enough to be able to become a legitimate, threat week in, week out. So I'd say they're close. They're not the most complete.
All right, your turn, sir.
Okay, so I personally think that the NBA is one of those teams or one of those leagues where a lot of people don't necessarily have a favorite team. They have favorite players.
Okay.
For example, me and my friend Tanner went to basketball games not based off of who was coming to town as a team, but based off of who do we want to see live in person. So a lot of times, more under the radar players who aren't traditionally good but are always exciting, kind of get a little bit of a cult following in the NBA Twitter sphere. For example, Zach Harper, the writer that I mentioned earlier, loves Ricky Davis. I personally love Nick Young.
Okay.
Love watching Nick Young. He's exciting. So my question to you is, what player is your favorite to watch who isn't a star? And I mentioned basketball, but it can be any sport. Right.
I got 2, and I'll go with my second one if you veto the first one. What do you consider? Do you consider Marshawn Lynch a star?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
he was a star.
Okay, because I'm telling you, I love watching Beast Mode. I do enjoy watching him just blast over Jarrell Casey. That was just a fantastic run. If he's not there, I'm gonna go with Mike Conley. I just for some reason have a man crush on that guy.
That's fine.
Probably my favorite point guard. And if you're gonna have a crush on watching somebody, I'd imagine it to be. I think NBA is the easiest one because anybody who's good will stand out. So I'm gonna go with Mike Conley in the NBA. Although I know some baseball fans they love how somebody can just get walked every time. If you saw what's the Oakland A's Moneyball, how they love that one Greek guy because he's a monster at getting walked every time.
He gets on base.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite parts. Like, I can't start him. He doesn't hit. He gets on base. That is all that matters.
And he wasn't like known as the Greek. He wasn't the Greek freak, but he was something like the Greek genius. I don't remember. It was a good part of the movie.
That was a very underrated movie.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was up for some Oscars. Brad Pitt, I believe, was up for an Oscar. I don't know about the rest of the movie.
But I think just because a movie's up for Oscars doesn't mean it's proper.
That's true. So a lot of movies don't get recognition until the Oscars, and then even then.
I think I only watched one movie that was nominated for an Oscar.
Right. So you brought up Lonzo Ball earlier. I'm gonna talk about the LeVar Ball. He's making the rounds again alongside his son Lonzo Ball, showing up on Ellen today, where Ellen gave Lonzo a full-body portrait of Ellen dunking over a defending Lonzo in a full Laker garb. It is actually quite funny if you see the portrait, though, because Ellen is Ellen. God bless her.
Sure.
However, I am far more interested in your reaction to another story of LeVar willingly lent himself to today. In a tweet sent out by Bleacher Report, LeVar Ball is shown gifting his handyman with a new truck.
Yep. The
handyman, supposedly named Felipe, was understandably emotional, and it was a genuine moment that I wish would be shown more from LeVar. Luke, who is someone in society, for whatever reason, you believe is the most misunderstood person right now?
Oh, that's...
And it doesn't have to be in a positive light. It can be misunderstood as in they're seen as a nice guy or a nice woman, but they're genuinely awful. It can go either way. Just in whatever sense the word misunderstood is to you, however the question rang to you. Who is the most misunderstood person in society?
This to me is a hard question to answer.
Kim Jong-un?
I mean, maybe. There's so many variables to this question, especially in today's world where so many people have so many different opinions that it's almost impossible for you to say necessarily who is misunderstanding and who isn't. And, Dennis Rodman seems to think that Kim Jong-un is misunderstood.
But if you had to pick one person, and you could defend them on your bully pulpit.
If I had to pick one person who I think is misunderstood, I would say it would be the owner of the Sacramento Kings.
You and your love affair of Buddy Hield knows no bounds.
Yeah, first of all, Buddy Hield should have been Rookie of the Year.
Oh my God!
Just say if he's on that Kings team if he's on any team that knows how to develop rookies, he wins Rookie of the Year. It's not even close. Not even close. But anyways, okay. I legitimately feel bad because he wants to win. He wants to win so badly. He is willing to spend the money. He's willing to do what it takes to win. He just gets in his own way too much. And I just feel bad for him because I want him to win.
You don't even believe yourself.
I do. I'm so sad.
I'm so
because he gets so much flack. He gets so much flack. That's the word I'm gonna go with, and not other words that I was thinking. And he, yes, understandably, he deserves some of it because he has made poor decisions. But overall, I think him, and it's not just him, I think a lot of sport, like Ken Kendricks, the owner of the Diamondbacks, I think is the same way. And Robert Sarver, I think of the Suns, same way. They, to me, are willing to spend the money. Ken Kendricks just proved he's willing to spend the money with that Greinke contract. They're willing to spend the money. They want to win. They just get in their own way too much. And I think they're misunderstood. I think people see some of the moves that were made and they want to say, well, they don't want to win. They're just trying to save money. They're idiots. It's like, no. I mean, they might be idiots. That might be accurate. I don't know them personally. But it's just they want to win. Let them try to win. Let them figure it out.
I'm trying to find the tissue that I don't have. Anyways. All right. Fair enough. For me, 2 words. Miley Cyrus. Your turn, Luke, right?
You know, that's fair. That's fair.
It's just a foam finger.
Okay, so my last question. There's been a lot of news circulating about women playing football.
Yeah.
We have...
Actually, ironically, me and Ruby also had this discussion last night at dinner.
Yeah, there was... I want to say her name, No, Becca Longo's the basketball player, isn't it? There was a female kicker who just is the first NCAA kicker. She's going to like a D3 school on a football scholarship to be their kicker. She was a star soccer player and had a very big, strong leg. And I read the story about it earlier. I just can't remember the name. And she tried out.
Becca Longo.
It is Becca Longo. Okay, I was right. Man, I'm great. And her dad eventually persuaded her to try out for football, and she made the team as a kicker. And people have been talking like, well, now that we have our first college football player female, when are we going to get this one and then this one? And of course, eventually we escalate it to when's the first female NFL player. And I personally think we need to slow down on that train. But we just recently saw a female quarterback throw the first touchdown in high school level. And we're starting to see just more and more females trying to play football. And successfully playing football, obviously. And so my question to you is, do you think that we will ever see a female make it into the NFL?
Ooh. All right,
I'll even take some of the flack off and say there's no way they're going to be in any position besides kicker.
Yeah, no, let's tread on a careful wire here. Because it's very hard to not sound sexist in this field, but if we're being honest and open and being available to reaction and talk back, then I don't think as long as we're having an open and honest discussion, that's all that we can do. So let's work on a scientific level. I think I'd almost find it unarguable that biologically a fully stacked woman and a fully stacked man, there's a biological difference to where it's just biologically different to where women cannot withstand the same. It's just different. There's men and women biologically are different, and I think that on a twofold level, it's going to be extremely hard because on one, the NFL is right now facing a domestic issue, PR issue that just almost brands itself along with the NFL. I kept asking Ruby, who knows very little about football and the NFL, and I would actually, in talking about the Super Bowl and asking her, do you know who Ray Lewis is? Do you know who Colin Kaepernick is? I was just asking her if she knew who they happened to be, and she kept asking me, "Oh yeah, are they the one who hit women? Is he the one who hit a woman?" And I said, "No, you're thinking of Ray Rice." And is it Colin Kaepernick? Is he the one who hit a woman? No, he's the one who protested. So I mean, I'm just saying, and that's a very obviously small sample size. But since they already have a domestic violence issue, it's going to be very hard to justify and even allow
a 150-pound woman on a field
where they will be hit. I mean,
kicker's the safest you can be.
Outside of maybe a long snapper, maybe.
No. Long snapper would get wrecked.
It depends. There have to be special circumstances. I know 2 weeks ago USC faced Mountain Tennessee, whoever their first week matchup was, and they had a blind long snapper. But it was coordinated between the two head coaches to lay off, and it was a beautiful moment in sports.
Yes.
But that would not be the case here. We're talking about a fully abled woman playing. I think that it's a very uncomfortable thing that we would have to discuss at some point. I'm not against it. I'm not saying we should outlaw it. I'm just saying, how I don't want to restrict women from coming into the NFL for fear of the worst happening. But in that aspect,
the worst is pretty bad.
What happens when a defensive end comes off the edge, blocks the kick, and breaks a woman's leg by as she follows through with the kick and cracks it or whatever? Is that seen as Michael Sam of, in a way, him being fired from the NFL, even though he had a shot in the NFL, the fact that he was cut just like any other player who's not good enough to make it is seen as being equal opportunity, or is it seen as, even now they can't control themselves, it just makes it look worse? It's a very tricky substance.
What I am more curious about is, because I knew the answer was no.
Yeah.
It will probably never happen, and if it does, it will realistically be more of a gimmick than anything else. But I do think, like you said, we shouldn't be banning them from trying.
No.
And clearly Becca Longo's proof that at some level it can work. So I guess a better, more refined question would be more, where do you think their peak is on an average competitive level? Do you think they can make it to D1?
Right. I'd say that's fair. There's
Power 5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I've seen some of the absolute awful kickers that permeate, ASU that we just miss.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can't be sorry. I mean, after
Zane Gonzalez, arguably the greatest college kicker of all time.
I'm saying, look at the crap that's been before him and
Zane Gonzalez.
I'm saying I'm excluding Zane from this. I'm just saying before him, and I'm sure what will follow him. Yes, okay.
Watch your mouth.
And I've seen how the number one who just got cut from the Bucks,
Robert Aguayo.
How touted he was, and he couldn't do anything. So
I just want to say, thank you for repping Zane. He is currently 100% accurate from NFL field goals.
Yeah, so go for him. But so I'm saying it's at some level somebody will be willing to try. I don't know if they'll allow a woman on for kickoffs, but I think for maybe PATs or something to where you just need a guaranteed kicker. I don't think that's undeniable. I think we could find something. Maybe Fresno State somewhere, like Oregon or somewhere where it's more, just way more liberal thinking. And Oregon, I'd imagine, I mean, they're always one to take an advantage because they can't get the natural talent. So from like Texas or lower. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't realize this was an Oregon hate podcast.
Oh my gosh. Well, it could be, unless they're willing to sponsor us. In which case, go Ducks.
Let's go Ducks.
All right. My last question.
You know who should sponsor us though, real fast? PJ Tucker. Let's go, PJ. Let's get you on the show, fam.
Yeah, PJ Taco.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Tacos with PJ. Tacos with Tucker.
Tacos with Tucker.
Yo, PJ, hit us up.
Hit us up. We'll sneakers you in here. In an interview with Hollywood Unlocked, Floyd Mayweather called President Trump a quote real man for his crude comments about women. Regarding Trump's remarking on grabbing a woman, I believe everybody would know that reference.
Which is funny because this is from literally like almost a year ago now at this point.
Yeah, we're pretty close there. Floyd regarded that it was a genuine locker room talk and validated the remarks by saying real men talk that way, and even gave examples of how he would talk about women as well. It's outlined and written out in other sources. You can find it if you want to. To me, it's just verbal trash. So yeah. I don't necessarily want to go too far in depth to it, but it begs the question, Luke, in not so many words, who or what team would you like most to see lose? Because really, at this point, that's what everybody watches Mayweather versus McGregor. What drives the Mayweather train is to see him lose.
See, here's the thing, though, is yes and no. Because I think with some people, like people watch the Indians right now because they want to know if they'll lose. Not necessarily if people don't necessarily want them to lose, but like me, for people who don't have a stake in it, how successful the Indians are has literally, actually I do because I may or may not have made a bet for them to win the World Series this year. But overall, I don't really have that much invested in how long their winning streak goes. I want to watch because I want to know if they'll keep winning. Mayweather, on the other hand, I don't watch, but if I did, it would be solely so that I could hope that he loses.
Right.
I actively will root against Mayweather as because he is a horrible person.
In your words, I may or may not have bet on Mayweather winning the McGregor fight, but that was one of the bets that I may or may not have made in earnest, hoping that I lose. That would have been one of the happiest bet I would have been fine to lose.
And that again, and that's you may or may not betting based off of just logic.
Right.
There was no way he was going to lose that fight. But yes, I'm trying to think before I finish it.
And granted, I know that it's different on the Mayweather fight. If he loses, that's its own. Him losing blemishes the entire record. So if a team, who would you like to see be built all the way up to the Super Bowl and lose, or who would you like to see built all the way up to? I mean, because if you wanted somebody to lose, there's no worse punishment than 28-3, which will now forever be associated with the Falcons, unless they somehow were to reverse the hex by doing it themselves to somebody else, which is nearly impossible.
Yeah, I just think Mayweather would be the one that I'd want to lose more than anybody else in this world.
Even say you're a Suns fan, even the Spurs?
No, I'd rather. I don't like the Suns, I don't like the Spurs. But at least I can respect Popovich.
Right.
At least I can respect Leonard. I can't respect Parker because he cheated on Eva Mendes, and that might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard anyone do ever. And I mean, Manu Ginobili is just trash. But I can respect Popovich and Leonard.
Right.
They're just good at basketball.
Same with like USC for.
So yeah, USC recruits well.
Texas.
I hate Texas. I hate Texas as a Sooner fan. Texas is top 5 worst team that I hate the most. Mm-hmm. That was really awkward phrasing, but I hope that people understand what I'm trying to say.
The sentiment comes through.
I hope they can hear the hatred in my voice. But Mayweather to me is literally human garbage. He does not deserve the fame or the fortune. He doesn't deserve the treatment he gets. He should be in jail right now for literally a laundry list of things, including domestic abuse and tax evasion. He does not deserve a dime. And I hope at some point he ends up in jail and he spends the rest of his life rotting away. And I have no problem saying that because it's all 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Put that on ESPN.
Yeah, careful. Jamel Hill got into trouble this week for.
I will freely admit I do not like Jamil Hill. 100% agree with her comments. 100% agree. I don't even like her personally. Just I don't like her or her as a sports personality. But what she said was 100% accurate, and I am 100% supporting her right now.
And that's honestly where camaraderie in life comes from. There's something to be said when you're a UCLA fan and you say in the Stanford USC game, those were some of the worst penalties against USC you've ever seen in your life. That comes with validity. I mean, sometimes you can be the absolute fan against something, but if you can admit to saying in spite of that, you're like, yeah, that's just garbage, that's wrong. Then it offers a bit more volition to what the original party is intended.
100% will be by her side with this.
Yeah, and did you see what they even came out today that ESPN tried to pull her off the air, and then Michael Smith, her co-host, said he wouldn't go on without her.
Good.
And then ESPN tried to see what's the politically correct term of saying, well, what their intentions were to get their backups, their African-American backups, who normally fill in for either one of them whenever they go out. They went to their backups and said, hey, can you co-host for both of them? Or can you host for both of them on this night that we pull them? And their backups said no.
See, I did not hear that.
Yeah, no, it got...
100%. I am 100% on board with that.
And go for the backups, too. I mean, I should give them out a shout-out, but that takes a lot of ethical foundation strong to not jump over the rotting carcass of somebody else in front of you just for...
Because that could have been their shot.
That could have been what they do, yeah.
While you look that up, it's nice to see that kind of support. And I find it hilarious. All of the people who are sitting here like, well, they fired Kurt Schilling over his views, and like
completely different.
And here's the thing: even if it wasn't, Kurt Schilling had warnings. Kurt Schilling had suspensions. It wasn't like Kurt Schilling said one thing and was fired. If you're stupid enough to think that's what happened, you're an idiot and you don't deserve to talk on this.
And you're just hearing one simple slice of the entire pie of what was going. You have no context as to what happened. But shout out to L. Duncan and Michael Eaves.
Yeah, I don't even know who they are.
Yeah,
but good job, guys.
And that could have been their shot. I mean,
that could have been
hosting Sports Center.
Hosting primetime Sports Center.
I can honestly say that's a dream of mine. You?
Yeah.
And
that's bucket list.
Yeah. So the fact that you turn that down for something ethically and morally that you're standing up for as well, to be in support of somebody, go you. I don't know how we got there, but anyways,
I'm glad we did.
Yeah. So looking forward to hopefully a little bit more of an offensive juggernaut of week 2. I know last year it was an offensive outpouring. This year seems to be more. Speak up. Let's hear it for the defenses.
No, I may or may not have been betting a lot of overs that may or may not have hit.
Yeah. And we both, in our fantasy league, which to me is my most important league, I think you said that as well.
Yeah.
We both lost 0-1, not feeling good.
No.
But I think I have a bye week. No offense to my opponent, but all the offense is warranted. Just a bye week, so I feel pretty good going into week 2. My lineup is stacked. Have you seen my trades recently? I've made like 2 trades that have just escalated me to the top.
I'm really annoyed because I was in line for a trade with David. And he was trying to turn this trade into like I don't even know what he's trying to do. It was literally we'd agreed to it. I sent the proposal. I think he still hasn't accepted it. He's making it seem like he's got to carve out an hour of his day to like sit down and run the metrics for this. And it's like, I'm sorry, man, I'm at work and then I'm doing this and that. It's like, dude, it's a button. You just hit accept. You already said that you're okay with this. Like, why are you? What is taking you so long?
Welcome to the tumultuous things of fantasy football, and I realized that I had to fight against one of the trades that I put forth in my league. My guy just could not. He couldn't, for whatever reason. I don't know whether to attribute it to him or his computer. He could not figure out the differences of how to accept a trade. So he accepted it verbally, and we're both working towards it, but his computer's not working, his app's not working on his phone, so I'm somehow trying to court him into being like, okay, just know that we're doing this trade, but I need it to go through, because on the other hand, it's one of those, once you agree to it, you're kind of antsy to follow through it and make sure that it goes through before somebody thinks twice and says no. So that's what I've had to deal with. Otherwise, I'm actually pretty impressed. Sometimes it depends on league to league on how open other people are to trades. If they're, like monopoly hoarders who are like, I'm not doing it unless I get a monopoly either. Sometimes I feel like I'm a pretty fair trader if I can get an advantage, and if it's a win-win for us, I'm fine with that. But I honestly traded for David Johnson. We'll see if that goes.
I think I saw that. I'm not a fan of that trade, man.
No, not from my side. You know who I regret more on that one? It's who I was trying to hold out for and not give up, but he forced me to. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry. I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry. I tried to hold out. He wouldn't do it without it. So I'm hoping that I can somehow get another running back somewhere from someone in the league. Or hopefully
get in line.
I know. You're hurting.
I'm trying to figure out where I can find my trade proposals on this app, because I sent it and he said he would accept it, and I believe he has not yet.
Welcome to the life of David. And I tried. I know that we're running long on this one, but I need to. I literally sent him a trade. I sent him 1-for-1. I'm trying to think. Alshon Jeffrey for Marshawn Lynch. Because he needs wide receiver help, and I need just a stable running back until David Johnson gets back. And so I sent him that, and he literally somehow turned it into, hey, would you trade Kareem Hunt for... I would give you Kareem Hunt for Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook. And I have no idea how it flipped on that, and I was like, nope, thank you, but let's continue talking about this Marshawn Lynch. I have no idea how it turned out to be that, and I'm not about to risk my rookie running back for giving you the number one overall quarterback who just went through his worst defense. That was the only game that I was debating.
Oh my god!
Anyways,
it's crazy.
The love and hate of fantasy football is real. Thank you to everybody for following through and listening to this. He still is not accepted.
He either declined or it just went away. So I don't know what's happening here, but I can tell you.
Were you going to get your running back?
I was. I in fact was. I was going to be trading. I knew I wasn't getting the value that I should have been getting, but I was getting some value.
Yeah, I feel like I sufficiently addressed. I at least addressed my needs that kept me from winning in the first week, and hoping to rebound stronger. Hopefully, Javorius Allen is the lead back in Baltimore. That's the only thing that I need. So
I just sent him a message.
Oh, good.
Can we do it tomorrow after the game? I didn't see that he had texted me this several days ago, and and I'm like, well, why are you asking? Like, I had already sent you the proposal, so I just now sent him a message. I was like, are we still good for this? And
so we'll be updated on that next week. And talking about fantasy, starting next week, we'll have a little preview of our fantasy football matchup. And we'll have our proposed bets. We'll see if we'll both come with a punishment for what we'll be betting, and see if either one of us wants to agree to it. Oh no, we agreed to a dinner bet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what's happening.
I actually did forget. Okay, so there we go. We'll be discussing our preview. We'll go person by person, in-depth analysis, crunching the numbers.
It'll be probably the biggest matchup of the fantasy year.
Yeah, this is genuine. This is going to be bigger than Mayweather McGregor, more hard hitting than Canelo versus Triple G. This is just going to be the fight of the century. So stay tuned. Listen to us on YouTube. For
Luke Wright,
I'm Philip Amrine. Thank you so much for listening to Chopped Greens. And until next time, bye.